Come see Brent Hull at Build Show Live, scan the QR code, or click the link in the description for tickets. Use code BRENT26 for 25% off.
We actually picked this up from another builder, so you're gonna see some of his work as we get into this, but come check out this foundation, pier and beam. It's massive, maybe a little over-engineered. It's really something that's certainly never gonna go away. Okay guys, so you're in this massive pier and beam foundation. Look at these piers, right? They're on 4-foot centers and they're ginormous. So that's when I was saying it's a little over-engineered. It might be like for a parking garage or something. So when we got here, the piers were sitting here, but nothing else. And actually the piers were poured too high. And anyway, there were some problems with it. One of the reasons why we took over. So, standing at the property, with all those piers coming out of the ground, and me and my project manager looking at each other going, they don't need this many piers. Why are there so many piers here? And then also learning that the piers were too high, because what was happening is these piers were coming out of the ground, and by the time we put our joists and everything else in there, we were going to be an extra foot or two higher than it already was. And so it was like, what do we do? Do we cut these things down? How much is that going to cost? Is that just a waste of time? And working through, bringing out our framers and engineers to make sure we were looking at it the right way. And at the same time, looking at that view. I mean, looking out over that western view, it was gorgeous. And it kind of was framed kind of right over that plateau in the distance. And so it's a special spot, but trying to imagine how the house might come out of that was a difficult thing to do, standing there, trying to put it all together. We've got kind of a ranch house kind of looking thing, but we've got these thin poles here. I think somewhere they were called out as a metal pipe column, right? And so very modern way of dealing with that. But the windows are traditional, right? And the roof and everything else in the form. So it's hard to compute kind of how to read that. And that porch, as inviting as it should be, all of a sudden reads as a little bit rickety and maybe, not fully hashed out. So what I did was I gave them a number of different options for how to do this. And so one, you've got the straight stone pier over here, right? That supports the porch. I've got a round column as an option. I've got the column sitting on a pedestal. This would be like a tapered arts and crafts column. This would be timbering with kind of brackets and things like that. And the same thing over here. I've even showed different ways of running the railing across there. I think a very simple railing like this works. Because of all these traditional elements, I look at this house and I go, what does this house want to be? What is it trying to be? And that kind of country, simple, vernacular ranch house is the way this reads. It was just an odd collection of materials. Like when you start a project, you don't necessarily think, we're going to start with 3 things I have no control over that are going to be really defining, the character of the house. And so those are some of the design challenges, and then infusing the character that I think everybody wanted and the house needed was fun, but also challenging. But it comes down to this existing road. There's a chapel on the property, and we come up here and then we enter the house. The opportunity is that you get these glimpses. So you come off this main road and all of a sudden you enter the country, right? You enter this rural landscape. And then you are traveling down this road, and then you get glimpses of the house. Oh, look, there's the house in the distance. And then you pass something, a gate, or pass over a bridge or something, and there's this experience that you're creating as far as an arrival, and in this point of destination that you arrive there and you're like, I'm here and I feel relaxed. And so that's the opportunity we have here. So when they want to talk about solar fields or where the generator goes, it all has to be organized. It all has to be put together so that you don't drive up and see a generator, right? You drive up and you see a beautiful house, or you see some kind of great landscaping. So a great example in America is Monticello. And so Monticello, Thomas Jefferson was enamored by a lot of the things that were going on in Europe and was inspired by what he saw there. And one of those things was those formal and informal gardens and how it looks. and you'll see little areas where trees are cut and grown up so that there's a look-through point. Obviously, he's got that outbuilding there that kind of looks out over the valley. It's so pretty, but it is definitely very organized. It's symmetrical, it's laid out so that it's organized, right? And so even though it's gardens and paths and things like that, the materials are very carefully chosen. Plants are, where the gardens go, all those different kind of things. The carefree way of which it's done is just makes it extra charming and extra wonderful. So the good and bad of the piers that were too high is we did figure out a way to use the piers as a bridge to hang joists and hang beams so that we weren't 3 feet higher in the air. At the same time, doing that, we realized that we had an opportunity to create that nerve center that we like to put in our houses, where all of the geothermal, the electrical, the mechanicals, all of those things could be underneath the house and not in closets upstairs or in the attic where it's inefficient. We put geothermal on this house. So what you're looking at is these horizontal units right here that are blowing in. The areas that take the water, okay, so the whole field where all the wells were drilled, okay, comes into this area over here. We've got a conditioned space, should be a very efficient way of putting things together. We've got electrical down here, our alarms, our water softeners, all the different things going on here, but the makings of a really great mechanical space happening right here. What we're trying to do is, when we're building a house, we're trying to establish it and put it into a place and time. And that we're trying to tell a story, tell a narrative. And so in this case, the designer, who's very talented, was on the job much longer than we had been. So we had to wrestle through what the ideals were, how this was going to come together. We knew that she was talented. We knew that she knew what she was doing. And so wrestling through panel size, panel height, panel orientation, how it laid out, timbered openings, the type of doors that we used, moldings, right? The stairs, all of these different things, the stone and rock and the materiality that we're talking about on the outside, bringing that into the inside. How did that work? I think is kind of the magic of creating a space that this client is going to love and this client is going to appreciate for many, many years, because it's special. So now this room has a feel, it has a canopy, has a tradition, right? And a story. It almost looks like the interior of that barn project. And so, so we go from this conceptual drawing, right? The truth is, one of the designers is like, I don't like that. We're not going to do that. And I was like, just trust me. You're gonna see this paneling and you're gonna fall in love with it. So we built the samples and everybody did fall in love with it. Everybody did like it. We ended up landing on this paneling here, okay? And possibly using some of this other paneling in these different rooms. But there's now a hierarchy here, and look how it's gonna tie in together. Notice I've got these timbered stairs in here, and that's really the look that's gonna happen here, where we've taken these massive timbers that are 14 inches by 7 inches, and we've crafted this stair going all the way up. We're gonna have a really cool handrail that goes across here. And so I've got now this infusion of materials, right? And here we are playing with materials, playing with the subtlety of materials, right? We've got antique beams for stair treads. We've got antique material here. We've got timbers here, actual historic timbers, right? A lot of things that we're pushing into this house to give it this character that I think matches this rustic, wilderness that we're looking out to. So the Tesla roof ended up being something that, hey, if we put the Tesla roof on there, which is a solar panel that looks like a black tile, for lack of a better word, maybe a Ludovici tile. It's a little bit thinner, but it was a great surprise, and it was a good find, because we were able to do away with the solar field and pick up that same efficiency on the house. That tile, I think, really contributed and helped the overall look of the house. It isn't distracting. It looks like we've got a black tile roof up there, and so it looks like a natural material with the stone and everything else we've got going on. So it saved us money from the big solar field we were working through and trying to figure out. So it was a good find, and I think it should be considered by more people. We're day one into the installation, and so probably by the end of the week we have most of that up. We ended up adding a garage structure, and so the garage structure is you know, a 5-bay. We had an original building when we got here. We're calling it the Sugar Shack. Board and batten, vertical boards that are going on in a building with big timbers. And we've kind of got that same look here. So what we want is these buildings to be subordinate to the main building, right? These buildings to be, you know, there's a hierarchy. You know that when you pull in here, this is what this is supposed to be, a mechanical house there, hiding the sport court, and then of course the main house here, the elevated materials, the masonry, all those cool things that are going on up there. Let me show you that. It's pretty awesome. You drive up to it and you think, you know, Texas Ranch House. You'll see even the railing that we've got going across there, how simple that is. And you guys that are watching code out here, we don't really have code. We're outside of the city limits. If the kid falls through there, he'll learn his lesson. He won't fall through a second time, okay? So we're not gonna worry about that. And if we do have small children, we would put a 4x4-inch little grid across there to keep the animals or critters from falling out on there, and then take it off later. It's more about beauty than code, so quit bugging me about code. So look at the stonework here. We've got this kind of limestone coining, right? That coining is where the original stone would have been locking in the corner of the building. So you see a big piece going this way, another piece going this way, and this kind of locking in of this corner. And because this is kind of a more rustic thing, you don't see that heavy stone everywhere. As you go to the lesser stone, there's kind of a rubble in here. And we have purposely kind of brought the mortar out almost to the face of the stone, as if it was kind of a more settlers kind of guy. It was a rough, it isn't clean struck. It's the craftsmanship is appropriate for the building, for the rustic nature of the building. And then of course you look at our fire pit and those steps coming down, this kind of mix of big stones kind of thrown in there randomly, and this rubble with this slurry. I think it looks really pretty. I think it looks like a place that's been here a while, right? It doesn't look brand new. And so I really like that. You see the geothermal coming up out of the ground. Our holes are all out there. The pipes come up in here and they run inside. So it's all coming together. But really we're about to button up this house, and really there's some great details that have come together. And I'm really excited about this because I think it looks awesome. We're geeking out to a lot of the details that have to do with wood cut, that have to do with, you know, wood shape, size, and all these different things that might go overlooked but are really important. Hey guys, Brent Hull here with my good friend, what's your name?
Richard.
Good friend, Richard.
Great friend.
Old friend. No, I'm kidding. Richard's here. He's obviously got his team doing all the trim work for us on this job and a bunch of jobs, but this one's kind of extra special. I want to show it to you today. Come join us. Yes, looking awesome. I mean, this looks freaking unbelievable.
Yeah, this is cool.
You got 8 bunks, right? Tons of kids can crash in here.
So the designer gave me a sketch of this and kind of just brought it to life, and I really like the design.
Yeah, no, it looks great.
If you know me, I don't have an ego at all, but I built this by myself, like 95% by myself. Like,
really?
Yeah, so if there's stuff wrong with it, I take credit. If it's not, I take all the glory. But yeah, this took me about 2.5 weeks to get to this point.
Well, that's not that bad. You know, Richard's obviously a good friend. He's on the podcast, but he's also a great craftsman, and seeing his work and working with him, doing that ceiling in that dining room, all of those things, he and I working back and forth. Hey, I want it this way. Yeah. Him immediately seeing that vision and putting it together. It's a big deal. The house is special, and I think you notice it, and I've been noticing it for the last, 5 or 10 times I've been out there, that this is a place that I'd want to settle. This is a place that you'd want to have a cocktail on the porch, have the fire on the back porch to arrive at. I've got 2 more, updates there. We'll do 1 more update video and then a kind of a final wrap-up video once they get moved in and the furniture and everything else goes in. So it's been a fun project. It's really been great to have you follow along. I'm really proud of it. I love how it's come together. So stay tuned. The finish is coming. It's pretty exciting.